Happy Sunday, y'all. I'm about ready to go to church. And what if I told you that the most overused word in the English language is narcissist? I don't have any verifiable facts or proof on this one, but if you look across social media and look across basically media in general, you'll probably reach the same conclusion yourself. And I can say for a fact that's overused because I know what a real narcissist looks like. You see, I'm a survivor of the International Churches of Christ, which was a cult founded by Kip McKean, who is said narcissist, in 1979. Kip, the definition of narcissistic personality disorder, which is where the word comes from, absolutely applies to him in every regard. He is incapable of empathizing or understanding what anybody else is going through. He has grandiose visions of himself, which I believe this trait also passed down to some of his subordinates. And he never believed that he was wrong about anything. Anything. You know, he could probably say that the sky is purple, and if you challenge him on it, he would basically call you a sinner and destined for hell. Which, again, his own delusions of grandeur caused him to believe that his organization was the only one that knew the Bible and was going to heaven. Which is in turn how it kept many people, such as myself, enslaved for many years. Now, in my case, my time in the cult was not relatively very long. It was from 1993 to 2004. And the reason why this subject even came up for today's episode was the fact that I was reached out to yesterday. I have an article that was on an anti-ICC website that for some reason I never asked to have it be taken down. I probably will now, but it's always been up there, and it's about the ICC's expansion into Fargo, North Dakota, a city which we left in 1999, and ironically the International Churches of Christ and none of its successors have ever made an attempt to restart. I'm one of those reasons. There's a couple of other people out there who would really crank up the media engine and would just immediately stop them cold. But anyway, Kip is a narcissist with a capital N. Probably all bold letters too. This is how cruel he could be. In the ICC headquarters city of Los Angeles, he was once spotted by one of the regular members walking on a beach. He said, "Hello. How you doing?" And that was it. Kip later on got very angry and sent orders to the entire organization that if he was spotted in public, that he was not to be approached at all. So he basically saw himself as some sort of untouchable god. This is what a real narcissist is. A man treating a woman bad in a relationship isn't necessarily narcissistic. You would need to know more details once they threw that charge out there to determine if they really were narcissists or not. I would venture that a small handful of those men are, and a very large majority are not. They may just be flawed individuals, or may just be simply cruel, but not narcissistic to the point where they cannot empathize with another person, and the entire world is about themselves. It is with this mentality that Kip was thrown out of his own organization later on. And in 2004, he was kicked out of the ICC by his own inner circle Well, of course, because Kip thought he was God's right-hand man, as he called himself, that he then moved to Portland, Oregon, took over a smaller organization there, and used that to launch his new cult called the International Christian Church, also ICC. Now, at the same time, he then took off from there and sent people to other cities with ICOC units and moved to quote unquote call out the remnant. Basically, poach people from his original group for his new one. And he also had a nickname for his movement called the Sold Out Discipling Movement. So sold out for him, basically. And if you want to know what that turns into in an acronym, it's Sodom, which kind of became a really dark piece of humor among those of us on the outside later on. He was the leader of Sodom, as in Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, this is a situation where art basically imitates life. Because this man thought that he was basically Jesus Christ in the flesh. He never could publicly say that, but that's what he thought of himself. This group, at its peak, had 126,000 members worldwide. But the more telling part is how many former members there are out there. Kip's groups have a high churn rate, which means people leave almost as fast as they come in. In fact, there were many years when the group lost people despite baptizing, which was the tool of entry. Despite baptizing many thousands of people, the group still lost members because that means more people were heading for the exits faster than they could come in. The result is the number of former members out there in the world is somewhere around 1.5 million. And this is what a true narcissist, this is what the power of a true narcissist and the destructive force it can be. So the next time you hear somebody calling somebody a narcissist, ask yourself these questions. Do they see themselves as grandiose, basically godlike individuals? Do they fail to empathize with other people? Kip had a collection. They started out by having people tithe, which is a biblical practice. But this number would increase. They would ask for more money, more money, more money, to the point, and then you have these special contributions where you have to contribute 15 times your weekly contribution in one shot. Most people in Kip's organizations contribute up to 40% of their pre-tax income to him. Does your local neighborhood narcissist do these things? Ask yourself these questions. Do they meet the technical or psychological definition of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder? Visions of grandeur for themselves, lack of empathy for others. They see themselves as basically God. Just because a man treats a woman poorly does not make them a narcissist. It can, but you need to just, as I like to use as a phrase, trust but verify. Always be asking the questions. If anything, me leaving the ICC has taught me one thing, and that's always question. You always want to question everything that you're believing in. So you want to question if that narcissist label really fits. Ask those questions. Do not hesitate. Do not take them at their word for it. Just because you're called a narcissist does not make you a narcissist. So there it is, folks. The most overused word in the English language, narcissist. I'm off to church. A real church, by the way. And that church, by the way, is the largest church in Minnesota, Eagle Brook Church. So I'm off to serve there. And I will see you tomorrow. Peace out, homies.